Eric Crampton. Eric's been crunching the numbers. Good to see you, Eric. He joins us now. Well, Eric.
Good morning.
Good morning, Eric. Well, if I was to read left-wing Twitter, this preview confirms the economic genius of Grant Robertson and the Labor government. It's way better than was expected. Everything is cool. Let the good times roll. And Christopher Luxon tells me, we're in dreadful, dire trouble. So I'm going to ask you, what is the truth of this preview? What does it show or tell us, particularly that we didn't know before?
Well, I guess I'd start with a recent addition to our team. Tony Burton is an ex-Treasury analyst, and he'd been warning us ahead going into this that pretty common trick is to talk down the economy in advance of preview. Just make everybody believe that it's going to be completely grim so that you've got a positive surprise once the numbers comes out.
The old switcheroo. The old switcheroo.
Well,
yeah.
It's expectations managing, right?
Yeah.
And that seems to have been part of what happened here. Pre-FU isn't that different from BFU. So again, BFU is the budget, expenditure, and fiscal update. Pre-FU is a pre-election fiscal update. They are showing reduced revenues and more government spend than we had expected, but it's not the bloodbath that had been expected in popular commentary ahead of pre-FU. One of the other tricks in pre-FU is that pretty much do anything in them so long as you tell Treasury that you plan on being diligent tomorrow, right? So it's kind of one of those St. Augustine things, grant me rectitude, but not today. If you tell Treasury that government policy is to have very tight fiscal envelopes, that you're going to have not that much additional spending, well, then Treasury has to take that because that's government policy, and Treasury's job is to forecast the effect of government policy, right?
Yeah.
But if Robertson's just lying to them about I shouldn't say lying, if he's heroically optimistic about whether they can keep to the promised spending envelopes, I find it a bit disconcerting, right? So you get Robertson standing up at the pre-FU Q&A and talking about how wonderful of economic managers they are because they're showing a return to surplus at the end of the fiscal window. Like it's been pushed out by a year for a couple of reasons, but they're still forecasting that they get back to surplus at the end of the forecast window. But if you look at pre-FU, some of this stuff depends on government sticking to things that are government policy, but that Labor has already said they're not going to be doing. So, for example, the Food in Schools program, right? That's scheduled to end. If it does not end as scheduled, then the numbers 2 years out no longer work in pre-FU. But Treasury is only allowed to forecast based on what is government policy because they can't second guess political decisions that aren't yet government policy.
Haven't been made, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you wanted to bet on whether we're going to hit those 2027 numbers, well, we can start offering odds on it.
Yeah. Look, the other thing is I understand a number of large expenditure items not included in the predictions for kind of technical reasons.
Well, yeah, so they've made these big announcements of things that they're going to be spending money on, but it's not government policy yet, right? They have not said this is the thing that government is going to be doing. It's more, this is what Labor wants to do if we are reelected. Now, some of it, the big spend on like Auckland Harbour crossings, that'd be outside of the forecast window largely anyway, because they wouldn't be starting in with shovels until well after 2027. But things that are still only just political party promises rather than official government policy, that's a little different.
Yeah. Okay, look, I'm going to ask you a very simple and honest question, and please don't take it the wrong way. And thanks for having analysed this, and I'm sure people are crunching the numbers. It doesn't sound like it really means bloody much at all, to be honest, the pre-FU.
Well, what it means is that everybody has the same set of books to start from.
To lie about.
So you've got a pretty...
Same set of figures accurate, to lie about, right?
Well, you know what the current fiscal state of affairs is, which is really important because you don't want an incoming government to be able to say,
okay,
while we promised X, now
yeah,
we
but
have
it sounds like you could drive a truck through all the inconsistencies, Eric.
Well, the main inconsistency is things that are government policy that are scheduled to end that nobody believes would end, and things that, that like Labor has promised that they wouldn't end. I'm pretty sure that they promised they'd continue with food in schools. Treasury themselves, they note they don't quite say that the assumptions are heroic, but I'll find the exact wording here. It was at page 50. They go through on the fiscal envelopes and say that, well, over the past few years, they've always overshot these things, and it would take some pretty hard choices and trade-offs to be able to stick with them.
Yeah.
So I don't think Treasury quite believes it either.
All right.